Hello and welcome to my channel. Welcome back, of course, if you've already been here. If you're new here, hi. I'm Laura. I like to talk about books, I like to read books, and I like to tell you guys what I thought about these books. And so today's video, we're doing two of those things. We're talking about books and I'm telling you what I thought about books. So basically, I wanted to do a little, like, my opinion on popular booktok books. So I'll just be like telling you whether I would recommend or not this book, and then why I'd recommend it, a brief rundown of the plot, but really just like my opinion. And this is really just because I think you guys deserve to know what I think about these books. So yeah, so today I want to get cozy, which is also why I'm not going to be showing you the books in person. To be fair, some of them I do not have them in physical, so that's partially why, but also because, like I said, I want a bit cozy. I just want to be sat and I want to talk to you guys. I don't want to have to be getting up, getting the book. But yeah, so I'll just have them in a little photo here. And I feel like that's sometimes easier because if I'm holding up the book and I'm waving it around, you might struggle to read it. But if it's here, it's not going to move. You should be able to read it. But anywho, I have a nice little hot chocolate. I literally just finished my coffee, but I needed another hot drink. So I made a hot chocolate. Oh yeah. There's something about hot chocolate and oat milk. Peak hot drink behaviour. Anywho, so I have here on my phone, I have a little list of 16 books / book series / authors that I want to talk about today. So I'm talking about more like the current big ones and what I thought of them, whether I think you guys should read them, and then a very brief rundown of the plot. Same as always, as you should know by now, grab yourself a nice warm or cold drink, I prefer warm, and let's get right into the video. So obviously these books, this is just my opinion on these books, little PSA for everyone here. If you have a different opinion, that is so fine. That is one of the best things of reading, is that everyone experiences things in their own way. So if I am saying that I really liked a book that you guys hated, or if I'm saying that I really hated a book that you guys loved, that is absolutely fine. I would love to talk about it in the comments. If you have a different opinion from me, if you agree with my opinion, don't hesitate to drop a comment, but be respectful. This is not a place to hate on people for liking certain books or hate on people for disliking certain books. Everyone is so entitled to their own opinion when it comes to books, and we should be working on having intelligent conversations about why this person liked it, why they didn't, instead of saying you're dumb because you didn't like this book. You see what I'm saying? So this is just my opinion. Do with it what you will. This is my channel, so obviously I'm going to be talking about my opinion, but I would love to hear your opinions in the comments. So the first book I want to talk about, and this is like low-key the most obvious. Everyone knows this book. Fourth Wing. Yeah, you guessed it, guys. I talked about this book quite a bit on my channel before. I think everyone has talked about this book quite a bit on their channels. There's a reason for it. It is a good book. I mean, at a certain point, you have to move past your bias against, like, booktok books and just accept that if everyone's talking about this book, it's probably for a reason. And I say that as someone who myself had to move past this bias, because I've been proven time and time again, like with Fourth Wing, when I read Emily Henry, when I read The Boys of Tommen, I was shown that that opinion is wrong, and it's really internally misogynistic if we want to think about it, but we're not going to get into that on this video. So you guys, if you have a bias against Fourth Wing, if you're just not reading it because you don't like fantasy, then that's fine. If you're not reading it because you're like, it's just a booktok book, it's not going to be that good, you are wrong. It is that good. These were, I think, between 4 and 5 star reads for me. Unpopular opinion, I actually thought the books got better as they went along. I do think that's also because I just got really invested in it. So I was just, by book 3, I was so invested in the characters, so in love, that there was no way I was not going to give that book 5 stars. Next, we have T.J. Klune. So I've read 2 of his books. That's The House of the Cerulean Sea duology. So House in the Cerulean Sea and The House Beyond the Sea. Something Beyond the Sea. Maybe it was Beyond the Sea. I don't remember. Anywho, it's there. I love these. Definitely would recommend. The first one, honestly, I read these like a year apart. So I read the first one last year in like March, so like a year ago, and then I read the second one in November. So not quite a year apart, but I read them like with distance. And I don't know if that was the right decision, but I do know that the first book I like enjoyed, but it wasn't something I thought of it. Like, it was just a fun read. It was a very cozy read, really feel good, but I kind of read it and moved on. But then the second book, loved that down bad. Like, literally the second book, almost wept. Tears of joy, mind you. Like, because I was so overwhelmingly happy that it almost made me cry. I'm just gonna leave you with that. Just throw that out there. Do with it what you will. But with this, you follow Linus and Arthur Parnassus, and Linus is a social worker, and Arthur Parnassus is the head of an orphanage. And so Linus gets sent to that orphanage to make sure that the kids, who are like magical creature kids, like one of them's like a dwarf, another one of them is the Antichrist. It's really unique. But anyway, Linus gets sent there just to make sure that these kids aren't a danger to society, because basically it's a society that kind of segregates magical communities and magical people from like regular people. And so the book is at once a really adorable, cozy, kind of family story, but it's also like a commentary on racism, classism, segregation, all the problems with our society today. And it's just done in such a way that I think it's a really easy book to read. If you don't want to read a book that's like too political, I think you should still read this book because it doesn't feel political just in the way it's written. It generally just feels like you're reading about these people's lives, and they just, they find their way into your heart. And so I loved it. Next up, we have Caraval. So Stephanie Garber. I have not read Once Upon a Broken Heart. Probably not going to. Honestly, I have so many books that I'd rather read, but I personally didn't love it. I don't know if that's because it's for younger audiences. I don't know if that's because it's not that good. But we follow Stella and Scarlett. I think that's their names. So you follow them. Basically, they live in like a kind of toxic household, and they run away to join this game called Caraval, which is kind of like this giant game that logistically I physically could not comprehend it, because to my understanding, this whole book felt like a fever dream. It was very weird, but to my understanding, the game is held inside of an amphitheater, the Colosseum, think that, like a stadium kind of thing, like a football stadium. It's not that big, and yet within the stadium, like instead of a football field, there was a town. So I could be misunderstanding this, but that is my takeaway from it, and so I physically cannot picture that, understanding that wrong. Please give me clarification, because it actually, whenever I think about it, I kind of have to take a moment and actually like, whoa, I have to be like, that doesn't make any sense. This actually happened. This was crazy. This series, I think it would have been so much better as a standalone. It was a trilogy. I think if you'd have had the first book, you'd have had the game, and it would have ended. I think that could have been fun. I think it was quite unique when it came out, but I felt like book 2 and 3, especially book 3, it brought in so many things that I felt were so far removed from the original book, from the original concept, that it was like it was a different series. It was really weird. From what I've seen, the other trilogy, Once Upon a Broken Heart, is better, but I just do not think I'm going to pick it up because I just don't care. Next, we have, what do we have next? Who knows? We have Emily Henry. So I have read 4 of her books. Let me see. Great Big Beautiful Life, Beach Read, Happy Place, and People We Meet on Vacation. I loved them all. I know a lot of people don't like Great Big Beautiful Life, which I think is her most recent book, but I personally really enjoyed it. But then again, it was my first book I read of hers, and a lot of other people, it was not their first, and so they, like, comparatively, they think it isn't as good. Maybe because I read it first, I liked it more. Either way, I really liked it. I really liked all of them. I think my lowest rated there was like 3.5. She is a 4-star author for me, which is just consistently good. Nothing amazing. Like, I'm not blown away by her writing, but I also think that is because I'm not a romance reader at heart. I am a fantasy girly, so I did enjoy her books, but they aren't like my main genre, you know? So they were all 4 stars basically. She writes romance, but I feel like real life romance. They all have different tropes. So Beach Read is like rivals to lovers. Great Big Beautiful Life, that is actually the same. People on Vacation is friends to lovers. And then Happy Place is second chance romance. She is, I think, the first purely romance author that I've read, and the first purely romance books that I read. So that was definitely interesting, and I was worried I wouldn't like it, but I actually really enjoyed them, and I look forward to reading another one of books. I really want to read Book Lovers. That one sounds really fun. But I honestly really enjoyed them. I think part of the reason I like them is because they didn't feel like romance books. You felt like you were generally getting a glimpse into these people's lives, and by the end of the book they were like your friends, because you just knew so much about them. They had such realistic personalities, and the characters could also be flawed but recognize their flaws, and so I just thought it was really beautiful and really realistic. I generally, like, you come out of those books and you're like, this is my bestie. I love the characters, and I think that is the main thing of the book, because again, romance isn't necessarily something that I need. Like, I could read a fantasy book with no romance and I'd be fine. For me at least, the main thing that drew me to those books was 100% the characters and the way that their personality is drawn out, the way that they are. I thought was just so real and so nice to read about, because they were just regular people, and I really liked that. So I would definitely give Emily Henry a try, even if you're not a romance reader, like I wasn't, and I really liked it. So I would definitely give it a try, even if you're not a romance reader. Next up, we have another book that is technically romance, but I myself don't qualify as romance, and that is Boys of Tommen. I don't qualify it as romance because I feel like it's romance with something else. Like, the focus of the book isn't the romance. I feel like the main focus is kind of the ridiculous amount of trauma that these characters go through. Like, this is a whole friend group that they all need to be in therapy for the rest of their lives. But I loved it. Definitely check your trigger warnings. Check your trigger warnings. And then even after you've checked your trigger warnings, triple check them. Like, see what other people have said about the trigger warnings, because they are heavy. They are full on. I think anyone who is under the impression that these are just a funny little Irish romance, don't think that. That is so untrue. I think the book covers, the English book covers, are kind of misleading in that, because it does kind of look like a cutesy little romance. It is not that. It is so much more, and it is so good. There are 6 books out. Can't wait for the next ones. My personal favourites are the originals, so Binding and Keeping 13, Johnny and Shannon. I love them so much. And then I love Gibbs and Claire's book as well, Taming Seven. I know that's kind of a controversial opinion. I think Taming Seven is like the generally like least loved out of them, and I love that. I love this series. I think it is oh so good. These characters have a special place in my heart. It is a god tier series for me, and considering there's no fantasy in it, that's saying something. I cried for almost every single one of those books. So again, if you don't want to read something that's going to make you sob, don't read them. But these books, they just deal with such heavy topics in a way that I personally think is quite well, and I think they also have done a good job of not generalizing these topics but kind of bringing them to the general public, because a lot of stuff dealt with it, so like abuse, mental health, all those topics, they're not necessarily hugely talked about in society. Like, we're getting a bit more now than we did 10 years ago, but still not that much. And so I think these books being so popular is actually a good thing, because it's kind of bringing awareness to these topics and helping people have better conversations about them. So I really appreciate it for that aspect. But honestly, these books are just, the characters are the main thing. Again, at least for me, a romance book needs to have great characters, and these characters are actually, they're the favorite thing. I wish I went to that school. I wish I was in that friend group. Although maybe I don't, because I don't need the trauma that comes with it, but the characters, they're almost like real people to me. They're like my best friends. This is my friend group, but like in my head. We're all a little delulu over here, but it's fine. Next up, we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So this one, to me, I feel like it's underrated. And maybe it's because it's like a murder mystery. Maybe that's because it's YA, but I feel like it's not talked about enough. At least I don't see it enough. But I know that it is kind of popular on BookTok, and especially was like when it first came out. I think this is, yes, this is 100% worth it. This is, if you're not a big mystery reader, I think it would be a good book to get you into it, because like I said, it's YA, so it's written for like easily, like it's accessible in the genre. So I would definitely recommend it. I thought it was really good. You follow Pippa? I think she's Pippa and then Pip. And basically there's this case, and everyone thinks it's like a closed case. This girl died, everyone thinks the boyfriend did it because he then himself afterwards, and so you think he did it, but then Pip is like, this isn't the truth, I'm gonna discover the truth. And so she teams up with the boyfriend's brother, and they like uncover the whole secret, and then it turns into a trilogy, except you think that each mystery might be separate, but actually you get to the end of the trilogy and it reveals things about book one that you thought you knew, and it's crazy, it's insane. I need to reread those books because they were just so good. But yeah, I'm not a huge murder mystery thriller reader, but these books honestly are like, I think the only murder mystery books I've read are Holly Jackson, and I love them all. They were all like 4+ stars. Just think they're really interesting, and also the main character is really cool. I think Pip is a really cool main character. I love them. I think they're really good. I think more people should read them. I think even if you're not a mystery reader, you would definitely like them. There's something in them for everybody. Next up, we have R.F. Kuang. I have read almost all of the books. I haven't read The Poppy War, but I've read Yellowface, Babel, and Calabasas. That's 3 of her books. Love them. Love them, love them, love them. Yellowface and Babel were 5 stars for me, and then Calabasas was a 4.5 star, but they are all so good. Babel and Calabasas are dark academia, and then Yellowface is kind of like a literary thriller style. I'm not so sure what genre that would be. I first read Yellowface of hers, and I was just absolutely blown away with how good it was, because I kind of went into it blind, never having read anything by the author. Not really having seen that much about it, I just saw it at a shop. I thought it looked cool because I had like the gold cover, which I think looked really pretty, and so I was like, you know what, let's read it. And I'm so happy I did, because it was a 5-star read. I read it in like a day. It was such a page turner. It's so addictive. Calabasas and Babel, they take a bit more brain power to read. I don't think they're the type of book you can read in a day. They're just such intelligent books. All of her books have a social commentary, and as you will know if you've been watching this channel for a while, I love when my books have a social commentary. I think that's such an important part of reading. Definitely be reading The Poppy War. They are on my TBR. I can see them staring at me, and I cannot wait to read them. I know I'm gonna love them oh so much. I'm just saving them. But I would definitely recommend R.F. Kuang. I think they're just such good books, and not only are they good books, they're good books with a message, so that makes them even better. Right, next up we have the Heartstopper graphic novels. So at the moment there are 5 graphic novels, 2 novellas, and then the 6th one is coming out July 2nd or July 3rd. I will be in bookstores when it comes out because I have all the other ones. No, I have not read the entire series. I've read the first 2 books in the series and I haven't read any of the others, but I've seen the entire TV show, so that does not even slightly make me entitled to talk about it, but that's okay. We move past it. But I absolutely loved the 2 that I read. But they're graphic novels, so it's really easy to read and you're just so invested, and I think they're just really beautiful and heartwarming. You follow Nick Nelson and Charlie Spring. They don't know each other. Charlie Spring's kind of like the nerdy artsy type, bit more reserved, and then Nick Nelson's a rugby player, and they get sat together in class and it starts a friendship that then grows into a relationship. These books you explore themes of friendship, self-love, mental health, coming of age, obviously like LGBTQ identity and all that. And just the friend group in this is actually, I think, the best friend group I've ever read about, and I love every single one of them so much. So I myself need to finish this series, not just you guys aren't the only ones who need to read it, I also do, but I cannot wait to finish them. I need to read the entire series before the new book comes out, because I don't think I'll be able to like respect myself if I go and buy book 6 before finishing the entire series. I will be reading that sometime soon, maybe next month. Next up we have Taylor Jenkins Reid. So I've read 2 of her books, both 5-star reads for me. Loved them so much. I cannot wait to read more. The next one I want to read is Daisy Jones and the Six, because I've seen that one's like her best work and I can't wait. But I've read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Carrie Soto is Back. Both of these were general fiction, literary fiction, I'm not exactly sure of the term, but basically just like books that aren't romance and that aren't fantasy. Call that what you will. I'm trying to get comfortable, wait a second. So they are just such beautifully written books, but also just the characters are so developed, they're so drawn out, they're really complex, they are flawed, but they have that, the characters make you fall in love with this book. I feel like it would be impossible to read a Taylor Jenkins Reid's book and not fall in love with the characters and fall in love with the book and fall in love with the writing style and just like become obsessed. So I read Evelyn Hugo about a year ago, and I read Carrie Soto at the beginning of the year. It was my first 5-star read and I love them so much. I cried over Evelyn Hugo. I still think of that book today, like over a year later. It's one of my favorite reads I've read ever. Like, she is a lot of people's favorite author for a reason. Next up we have the Powerless trilogy by Lauren Roberts. Not a fan. I read them a year ago. I think part of the reason I'm not a fan is definitely an age gap thing. Generational gap, as my sisters like to say. They are YA, definitely intended for younger audiences. I know my younger sister read them when she was 14 and she loved them. I read them when I was 19, was not a fan. So I really do think that definitely plays a big part in it. Also, I think it really depends how you read books. If you like to read books, you read them, you have fun and nothing more. I do think you would enjoy the Powerless series. There's nothing objectively wrong with them. They're interesting. Kai and Peyton are like a fun couple, but I feel like also if you're a reader who wants something a bit more from their books, who likes to read books and like thought-provoking books that make you think, books that something happens, they are not the books for you, and that is my case. Okay, next up, another book that I definitely did not like, and that is Quicksilver. I know that book 2 is out. I'm not going to read book 2. I actually think about it often, because the one good things about those books was Karen Swift, and I know he's more important in book 2, but I just did not like that book. I think it was the lowest I've ever rated a book. It was 1.75 stars. If I was a DNFer, would have DNF'd it. I thought the dialogue was horrible, was cringy. The whole point of a fantasy romance is to like the romance and the fantasy elements. I thought the fantasy elements were lacking, and I thought the romance was non-existent. I mean, I don't think you can call that a romance. Kingfisher was just so crass with the way he spoke. I thought it was really horrible, and maybe that's me, maybe that's just not my kind of book, but bro talked about his penis like 3 times per page, and it's like, son, I don't need to know that much about your penis. I really don't. Next up we have Sunrise on the Reaping, or more specifically kind of like the entire Hunger Games Suzanne Collins books. I loved it. Cannot wait for the movie. Y'all aren't ready for the person I'm going to become in November. I'm not ready for the person I'm going to become in November. I'm not ready for the tears that I'm going to cry in November, because oh my god, I've seen some people renaming that book Sunrise on the Weeping instead of like Reaping, Weeping, and I love that, because that was me reading that book. Tears. That book is traumatic. Like, low-key, it's given me generational trauma, and I wasn't there. Before the book was even announced, I remember when I went and watched The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, when I went and watched that, I was thinking, I was like, I would have loved to get Haymitch's story. That would be so interesting. He was in a quarter quell. There was twice as many competitors. I was like loving it, but I was like, it's never gonna happen. She did this one, and it was really good, and I loved it, but I gotta move on. So when I saw the news that she had announced a Haymitch story, best day of my life. I was so happy. I was over the moon. And then I read the book, and oh my god, I was not disappointed. I was in the bookstore the day it came out, and I read it, I think the day after it came out. I was overjoyed. It was so good. It lived up to the hype that I'd set. It lived up to the hype that other people were giving it. It was amazing. However, of course, do not go into this if you don't want to cry. But also, if you need a good cry, definitely a book to read. They just have such an interesting social commentary, and the characters characters are so unique and different from other characters, and I could go on and on and on about the Hunger Games, but obviously I'm talking about a lot of books here, so I'm just going to leave you with, read these books. Do yourself a favour and pick these books up, read them, they are so good. The problem with me is I say I want to be like talking about these books quickly, except I get so wrapped up in it that I'm just rambling and rambling and rambling, and you should not have given me a platform to be able to talk about this, because these videos are going to be way too long, but it's fine. Next up we have Jessa Hastings. So obviously Jessa Hastings did Magnolia Parks, but I've also read 12 books of hers, so I've read Never and The Conditions of Will. I only read book 1 Magnolia Parks. I will be continuing. I really liked them. I thought they were really, really good. I gave Magnolia Parks, I think, like 4.5 stars, and then Never and Conditions of Will, also loved them. Conditions of Will was really unexpected. That was a 5-star read for me. I thought it was so good. I thought it was really well written. I love Jessa Hastings' writing style. I love her characters, because again, her characters are so deeply flawed, but you can tell she really thinks about them psychologically, because they make decisions, and you as a regular person, like, why would you make that decision? You can also fully empathize with them and understand, because of like their experiences in the past, why they made that decision. Even if you recognize that it's a stupid decision, you also see where they're coming from, and I think that's really smart, because sometimes in books it's hard to have people make stupid decisions and not have you as a reader get mad at them, because it's like, that is the stupidest thing you could ever do. Why would you do that? And I think Jessa Hastings manages to have them make stupid decisions but fully have us understanding why. And so I would definitely give these a read. I love them so much. I cannot wait to continue the Magnolia Park series. I know I have to do that. It is in the works. I'm planning on doing that. Might do a reading vlog. I don't know, we'll see how I feel, but these were all 4+ star reads for me, and I love them oh so much. Fair warning though, if you do not like messy characters and deeply flawed characters, do not read these books. But if you don't mind, run, don't walk to pick them up. Okay, we're almost at the end. We've only got 3 left. So next up we have the Cruel Prince trilogy. So the Cruel Prince trilogy, I know they were like huge back in the day, and now they've kind of toned down a bit, but they are just always famous because they're that good. There you go, I said it. These are probably my favourite trilogy ever. I love these books so much. I can honestly say without doubt, without this trilogy, I would not be the person I am today. Like, maybe not the person I am today, but the reader I am today without this trilogy. Jude, favourite female main character. Favourite character. Carden, same. That couple, I recognise that the main point of the book isn't the couple, but I still love them. I just thought these books were, when I read them at least, I think since if I were to reread, I probably have a slightly different opinion, but when I read them, I just thought they were so unique from anything I'd ever read. They are YA, but I honestly think they are just so good that you could read them at any age. I think you would enjoy them more if you were slightly younger, but that doesn't mean that you wouldn't love them if you were an adult. I myself want to do a reread this year. It is in the plans because I read them like 6 years ago, but those are honestly, for me, those like formative books, like core memory books. Okay, then we have Throne of Glass. 5 stars. Pick them up, they are so good. They are a commitment. There are 8 books, but I think they are so worth it. I read them all in a month, which was like hard.
That's what she said.
They are just so good. They are, for me, a quintessential epic fantasy series, and they are just so good, especially the way that you can tell from the book sizes, they get bigger as it goes along. I think it's really representative of the story, because the story gets more expansive as you go along. You start off, it's just like kind of trials, you get this ex-assassin, you don't really know any context, any political context, any personal context, and then as the books go along, the stakes get higher, you learn more about the characters, the cast of characters, you get more of them, the found family. Selena Sardothian is up there as one of my favourite female main characters. They're top tier books for me, and I think they are really good. And I think if you are a fantasy reader and you haven't read Throne of Glass, you are missing out. They're staples for a reason. They're well loved for a reason, and I think honestly they are a quintessential epic fantasy series. I love them. Guys, we're on the last book. We are on the last book. If you have stuck around this long, first off, good on you. Well done. I recognise I talk a lot, and I've been talking a lot, but don't worry, we're on the last book. Okay, so the last one we're going to talk about is The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I actually had this next to me because my sister was reading it and she left it in my room. Serpent and the Wings of Night. I loved this series. I cannot believe it took me so long to read them. I've only read the first 2, so Serpent and the Wings of Night, Ashes and the Star Coast King, and then the first novella, which is Six Scorched Roses. Loved them. They were literally all 4.5 to 5 stars to me. This series was exactly what I needed. It had been so long since I'd read like a proper fantasy series when I read this, and it was perfect. It reminded me why I love reading. Like, you know how you can go months and you can read books and enjoy books and you're having fun and you're not necessarily missing anything, but then you read a book that reminds you of the books you used to read when you were younger, and it kind of brings back that like childlike joy, the feeling you used to have when it was 3 in the morning and you know you should have been to sleep so you had school the next day, but you couldn't put the book down because you just had to know how it ended. That is the feeling these books gave me, and I cannot wait to continue the rest of the series. I know there are 2 other duologies I think that are out. Maybe the 3rd one's getting published at the moment, I'm not quite sure, but these are really good. So in the first one you have like trials, and it is vampires, and I know that you may think vampires, like you might think of like Twilight and think, yeah, that doesn't sound like my kind of thing. I thought that too. I thought I was past my vampire days because I had a vampire phase when I was younger, and I thought I'd move past that, but then reading these books I was like, yeah, no, vampires, underrated. We need more. Give me more of this book. And so there's an element of trials, and we have a political aspect, we have enemies to lovers, we have obviously vampires. These books were just, they were amazing. 5-star, god tier, cannot wait to continue, love them down bad. So I would definitely recommend. Honestly, if there's like one book recommendation you take from this, let it be these or The Boys of Tommen. For me, those are like, they're up there. They are my god tier series. Or Cool Prince, of course, but that's like a god tier childhood series. I don't know if it holds up as an adult. But anyway, guys, we are at the end. Yay! So that was my little opinions on all the main BookTok books that I read. Not all of them. I've definitely missed some. There are probably some others I could talk about if I had to think about it for a bit longer, but as it is, that's all I've talked about. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun. It was actually like really nice to talk about these books. I was really feeling really hyper. It could be the coffee I just had. I feel like I was probably talking a bit fast at some points in this video, but that's fine. Hopefully you guys understood. I love talking about books that I love, and most of these books I do love. I also do like talking about books I don't like. Sometimes it's like fun to like hate on them, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do not hesitate to let me know your opinion on these books. I would love to talk about that down in the comments. If you did like this video, give me a little thumbs up. It's always very much appreciated. And if you're not following me and you like this video, what are you waiting for? I do all kinds of videos. I do sit down talking videos, I do reading vlogs, I do reading challenges, I do a little TBR recap video at the start of every month. So do not hesitate to hit that subscribe button for more fun videos like this. But yeah, we are at the end of the video, and so I, as always, must bid you adieu. I hope you have an absolutely amazing week, and I will see you on Friday for my next video. Until then, bye!